Hey guys, it's your girl Me-Anie. Do you guys remember this shirt? This is an old shirt. I mean, back in the day, old, like living in Philly when I first started YouTube type of thing. I was gonna do an old story for you guys, so I wanted to put on an old shirt to kind of get me back into that feeling. I was painting today. I actually made my table to you can't see it. Don't worry about that. You'll see it another time. Anyhow, so this is going to be story time. I'm doing this video because in my previous video, something slipped out about me getting into a fight and myself biting the person or the person biting me, and I can't remember what happened at that time. So a few people commented and they caught the fact that I mentioned something about a fight and who bite who, can't remember. So I'm going to go back and tell you the story. Now, this happened years ago when I was working in retail. I did retail management for about 12 years. So I'm not going to say my first job, but my first like legit job after high school was working at a store called G&G. Some people might know it as G&G, Max Rave, Rave Girl, those line of stores. Now, when I was working there, it was in the gallery in Philadelphia, so like around 9th and Market, around there. And we used to get hit up a lot. I mean, shoplifters would come through and swipe like stacks of little graphic t-shirts off the table, crazy stuff like that. So you always had to guard the front of your store. So being in that type of environment, you would always get hit up at either your entrance in the back of one of the corners of your store or the fitting room. Those were like the main places. So we always always try to have somebody watching the front, had somebody at the fitting room. You let them in, they go in with a certain amount of items, they come back out with those items too. So this particular day, this one girl, I can still remember her name. This one girl came into the store. She had her child with her. She was in a stroller and she's shopping and everything. So she goes into the fitting room. She comes back out, but she doesn't come out with the items that she went in with. So I can't remember all the details of like what really happened, but I remember her going in with a certain amount of stuff and then she didn't come out with it. And back then we used to get so much shipment, like we had stacks of boxes in the fitting room along the wall. Like these will be the fitting room doors. And then on the wall, we would have boxes. So some people would get slick and, try to hide hangers in between the boxes and stuff like that. People even stole panties back then. I mean, we would find so many freaking panty hangers at the end of the night or throughout the shift. It's freaking ridiculous. I mean, panties that were like $2.99. I think it was like, I can't remember the prices, but inexpensive, okay? So people would just be stealing thongs and scratch and sniff underwear like... Really, you gonna steal you some underwear? But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so this girl goes into the fitting room. She tries the stuff on. She comes out. She doesn't have the same amount of stuff. So obviously, I'm at the fitting room, and I said to her, I was like, "Well, where's the rest of your merchandise?" So she's like, "This is all I had." I'm like, "No, I let you in with a certain amount. Where's the rest of your stuff?" So she proceeds to say, I don't have anything. So I was like, okay, well, I need to check your bag because the stuff is not in the fitting room. So I go about checking her bag, and the stuff is in the bottom of her stroller. Now, she's going to say that her daughter must have put the stuff in the stroller. Mind you, the entire time, her daughter is strapped in the stroller, did not get out that stroller, not one time, to be able to lift a finger and put clothing to the bottom of that stroller. Okay, so not only did your daughter put the stuff on the bottom of the stroller, she was kind enough to take it off the hangers. All right, whatever. So I'm at the fitting room. This is me at the fitting room door. She's behind me. So I told my manager, I was like, "Yo, Lori, call security. She got merchandise on her. She's not leaving." So she's behind me. I'm standing like this at the fitting room, blocking her in. So I'm like, just hold on. We're gonna get everything straightened out. So she was like, "No, I gotta go. I can't stay. Like, you don't understand. I gotta go." So I'm like, well, you shouldn't have put the stuff, or your daughter shouldn't have put the stuff in the bag to begin with. Like, what are you doing stealing? She was like, you don't understand. I gotta go. Like, I can't be here when the cops come. Like, I'll get in trouble. This is not my first time. So come to find out that this was not her first time stealing while she was with her child. She got previous warnings, and they basically told her if this was to happen again, she would get her child taken away from her. So she ended up calling her mom to come down to get her daughter, because at this point she knew like the cops were coming regardless. So the security guard at the front, Dimitri, as we call him, Michi, he's at the front. I think he kind of knew what was going on, so he's watching the front. We're waiting for mall security to come up. That time in the gallery, we had Bufford. Damn, what was his name? Bufford. I can't remember his first name. Bufford. I can't remember. But we had Bufford. We had why do I know these names? He was the sexiest. He was the sexiest older male cop. Officer Nieves. Oh my God. He was like 52, handsome behind Spanish older guy. Anyhow, so we're waiting for them to come, and this girl, like, she bust past me, right? So I don't know what possessed me, but I reached out and I grabbed this girl's bag. So when I grabbed her bag to, to pull her back into the fitting room, we start fighting. Like, we start swinging on each other. At some point, we both go down to the ground. So we made it from the fitting room all the way up to the counter. And my cousin at that time, she worked with us too, my younger cousin. She's younger than me by a few years, so she worked at the store as well. And then her sister, my other cousin, worked at the other store, because we had 2 stores in the gallery. I was in store 1, she was in store 3. So my cousin worked at the other store. So we in there, we tussling and everything. Next thing I know, like, my chest, I clamp up because my chest just got real tight. Don't you know this little heifer is biting me on my freaking titty? Like, she was biting me right. I probably still got the damn marks. I got pictures of it. I was trying to find the damn pictures to show you guys, but I couldn't find them. This heifer, while we were like tussling and on the floor in a ball and everything, she managed to clamp down on my chest, and she was biting me to the point where when my security guard Michi came, he started pulling her off, and as he was pulling her, like her freaking teeth just like scraped my skin. So I had like maybe 3 or 4 of her teeth marks in my skin, and it was scratched. So when that happened, I went freaking ballistic. Like, we got separated. I turned around and I reached for one of the racks. At that time, we had arms that can twist off and kind of, take merchandise off or put merchandise on if you wanted to. So I like dropped everything off the damn rack, and I twist the arm off. And when I said I went up to come down and hit her with that fucking pole, right when I did that, the cops showed up. Like, everybody swarmed at the same time. Her mom, mall security, the cops, everybody. She was fucking saved by the bell. This bitch bit me, broke my fucking skin. It was ridiculous. So she ends up, like, she got hauled off. Her mom was there in time to take the daughter, because she would have been taken away at that point. So the mom came, and she was cussing. She was cussing at her. She was cussing at me. She was just cussing at everybody because of the whole situation. She got hauled off. The cops came. They looked at me. They was like, okay, well, you got to come down to the station. So they drove me why do I need to get in the ambulance for real? So they drove me around the corner in the ambulance, and they were like taking care of my bite. So I had to go get a damn tetanus shot. And the funniest thing is, the irony of it all, it was just so weird, because this happened the day before. Around this time, I was in a relationship with this guy from high school. We were together for 3 years. So this was like the day before our 3-year anniversary. And the nurse that was cleaning me up, we were talking, and she was like, oh, well, try explaining this to you. She said, try explaining this to your boyfriend tonight. I was just like, this is not funny at all. Like, I had bite marks on my chest. I had to get a freaking tetanus shot. So my arm was, if you ever got a tetanus shot, you know how stiff your arm is afterwards. So my arm was so freaking stiff. It was like the worst anniversary ever the day after this all happened. But so fast forward, after all this, I had to like go to the police station, write a report of what happened, and we had to end up like going to court. So I go to court. Don't you know this heifer is wearing one of the skirts that she stole? She's wearing the damn skirt to the freaking court hearing. I'm like, this is some bull. So she ends up having to pay restitution for biting me. So like every month or so I would get a little check back then from this girl because she had to pay restitution. And I still remember her name to this day. Matter of fact, I might try to Google her when I'm done and see what she's up to these days. But that was the story. I didn't bite anybody. She bit me. There was another fight though in high school where I bit some I bit somebody. You can't listen. You can't be running around biting folks because you don't know what people have, okay? I bit this girl on the forehead though. So and I didn't break skin. So that was okay. But this heifer like broke my skin. I had like 3 scratches on my chest from like her teeth like just all up in my skin. So luckily for me, what she did was visible. So she got in trouble. And what I did to her, it was just all like pain. So she got like kicks and punches and cuffs all. And she had, I mean, a pump she saw good and she had, but it was nothing visible. So I didn't get in any trouble. She did. She did because she bit me and she broke skin and it was visible. So, you know, you gotta fight a clean fight. Not that you should be fighting, but if you do, be smart about it. So that is my story of who bite who. I've never been in a altercation like that since, but since that fight, that story has followed me from store to store. Like all my like every time they would call and ask for me, or like another store would hear about me within the company, or even as I like when I went to other stores and I told them that story, it would always be, who's that? The girl that got into a fight and got bit. And it was just the funniest thing. Like, damn, why do you guys remember this damn story? So it was, oh man, back in the day. I love G&G. If you guys remember, like if you're from Philly, you remember G&G. Oh, man, I used to love working there. Lori was the best manager ever. I actually had a picture. Don't worry about that. Anyhow, guys, that's my story. So I shared that with you. And stop prying into my life, okay? Stop it! Until next time, it's your girl, Me-Anie. Peace.